Hello a-hole enthusiasts, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing well. Lighting is a little bit different today because it's dark outside. Yeah, let's get straight into things and do an Am I the A-hole video today. I picked out some stories for us just based on the titles and the lengths. So, am I the asshole for not caring my sister-in-law is sick? Maybe if you don't really believe that she's sick. A little bit of a backstory. I'm a 30-year-old female and have been with my boyfriend, a 35-year-old male, for 3 years now. We had ups and downs but made it through. My boyfriend often tells me that I'm not independent enough. I was studying and working since 18. His parents were both supporting him and his sister, now 38-year-old female, until the age of 25. I'm still working and doing a PhD. I'm not the best of drivers, but I have a car. The reason he tells me I'm not independent is because I don't cook every day, and sometimes I ask him to help me park my car and also come when I have work done in the house. Women understand this. It's never a good feeling being alone with a stranger. I see. Now, my boyfriend's sister got unexpectedly pregnant at 24, married the guy, and my boyfriend's parents gave them their house and moved to a smaller one in the same backyard. His father found them both jobs and the grandparents took care of the kids. My boyfriend's mum does all the cleaning and cooking. Father did all the house things, etc. What, still does all the cooking and cleaning in the boyfriend's sister's house? Or in their own house? Because, yeah. They also bought them a car. My boyfriend still doesn't have one and rents the apartment in the city that we live in. This just all seems to me that the boyfriend's being a hypocrite, to be honest. They never offered him any financial help. All the money goes to his sister's family. But in his eyes, she is very independent. Okay. Last year, I had some heart problems. I had severe chest pains, couldn't sleep, and my heart would beat at 120 a minute. I almost died as a child because of some bad diagnosis. This does not seem relevant in all honesty. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so my boyfriend's dad suddenly passed away this August. Of course, we were all devastated, but it's been 3 months and life goes on. But his sister is kind of acting out. She has some random symptoms like hot palms. Hot palms? Is that a thing? And back pain, and it's clear as day, it's anxiety. Also, she calls my boyfriend every day to complain how her kids don't study but does zero effort to help them. She went to 101 analysis, I don't know what that is, and they all showed that she's perfectly fine and she was sent to see a psychiatrist who gave her sedatives. But she still complains and wants to do more tests. Suddenly my boyfriend wants to take her to all doctors. He calls everybody to ask for recommendations for good doctors, etc. He doesn't tell her you're old enough to call the clinics yourself like what he told me. Again, just seems like the boyfriend is being the hypocrite here. Also, he says I'm selfish for not calling her to ask how she's doing. I'm currently very sick. Doctors suspect pneumonia and I feel like I'm dying. He still went to spend the weekend with the family in the other city because they need him. Maybe I'm selfish for thinking she is just complaining like always and I never get the attention because I don't complain, but neither called me to ask how I am. Are you the asshole? Yeah, actually, you're the asshole for saying that your brother's sister is sick and basically comparing the two of you. You're not in a fucking competition, okay? You might be physically sick, but that doesn't mean that the sister-in-law, let's call her, isn't also physically or mentally sick. Like, you said it's clearly anxiety. That's a type of sickness. You know, depending on how severe it is, it could be really affecting her. So I do think you're the asshole. Actually, what was the question? For not caring my sister-in-law is sick? Yeah, I think you are. I think you are. That being said, I don't think it necessarily makes you selfish for not calling to ask how she is, especially if if you don't really have a relationship with her anyway, and you obviously know a lot about what's going on through your boyfriend anyway. I wouldn't necessarily say that's selfish, but I do also get why you're like, well, no one's asking me how I am and I almost fucking died or whatever, apparently according to you. Maybe other people will say you're just sick, whatever, you know. But yeah, your boyfriend's a hypocrite, you're an asshole, and that's don't assume that you know whether someone else is sick or not, okay? Just let people decide that for themselves. Doctors aren't always correct. There are such things as rare diseases or illnesses that not a lot of people know about, including doctors, having to go lots of specialists, going to see lots of specialists, etc., etc. So don't act like you know anything about her life, okay? Cool. Next one. Am I the asshole for reporting my wife's friends? Probably not. My wife is a paediatrician, and over the years I've seen her turn from a decent human being to an egotistical, petty and combative woman. I understand that her field is high stress, but my goodness, I just don't recognise the woman I married. She comes home and all she can talk about is gossip amongst the nurses, and it's all negative. I had it when one night, while we were out for a walk, she told me of a plan that they had for a female parent. So far, they placed a woman and her child in a dark and unclean exam room to punish her for rightfully reporting one of the staff members. Jesus Christ. From what I understand, the patient is a young black woman who has a baby that looks fully white. My wife gave more details, but this is the simple version. They intend on bullying the woman each visit. From what I gather, it sounds like a lot of jealousy from how my wife keeps mentioning about the patient, how she acts like she's royalty, and then my wife would mock how the patient walks. I'm seeing a pattern in my wife's behaviour because I've seen her do the same anxious mocking when she feels inferior or insecure. When she pulls out the doctor card to try to save face, as in I'm better than you because I'm a doctor. To make matters more bizarre, she looks the woman up on Facebook and shows me the photo while we're settling in for bed. I called the advocacy line and gave anonymous feedback the next morning. I plan to tell my wife what I did. I know she'll see this as a betrayal of trust, but I know I did the right thing. I honestly think I'll be saving the staff from a lawsuit. Am I the asshole? No, but it sounds like your wife is. So, one thing I have a problem with is, am I the asshole for reporting my wife's friends? But it seems as if the wife's involved as well. Sorry if I've read that incorrectly, but it seems like they're all in on it, which is just bullshit, to be honest. So no, I don't think you're an asshole. I mean, this woman is being abused in a medical setting. Like, it doesn't have to be, beating someone in order for it to be abuse. This is absolutely shocking behaviour. And I don't give a fuck about if you're saving the hospital or the staff a lawsuit, to be honest. What I care about is the patient fucking being treated in a respectful, decent way. So no, you're not the asshole. That's pretty fucking awful. It's not completely surprising, unfortunately, but it's not good either, is it? It's not good either. Am I the asshole for telling my 14-year-old daughter that she's average looking? This is poo mode activated, which I think just means that only certain people can comment on it. So OP is a 39-year-old female and says, I have a very insecure daughter who's a 14-year-old female who has a depressingly unhealthy obsession with her looks. She often avoids mirrors and pictures because her mood instantly drains when she sees herself. She constantly asks her father and me if we think she's pretty, and we always tell her the same thing, that she's a beautiful girl inside and out. As I understand how most teenage girls are with their body image, as I was one at some point myself, my daughter's vanity is not only becoming exhausting to those around her, but I fear it's causing her to slowly lose herself. Yesterday, I decided to sit her down to chat with her about this, to discuss what's bothering her and to see if she's willing to visit a therapist. That sounds reasonable. She told me she didn't want to talk about it, but as her mother, of course, I'm going to be worried about her, so I insisted. She finally agreed. A few minutes into this conversation, she asked exactly this. Mum, I want you to be completely honest with me. That means no sugarcoating. The kids at my school think I'm ugly and say I look like a bird because I have a big nose. Do you really think I'm beautiful, or are you just lying? I'm an honest person, so I gave her the most honest answer I had. I told her she was average looking, like most people in the world are. That's literally what average means, depending on which average you're talking about. And that it's not a bad thing to have an average appearance. She immediately got up and left without saying a word and just went into her room for the rest of the night. Today she has been cold and distant, and I think I upset her, which wasn't my intention at all. Am I the asshole? I'm going to go ahead and guess that since you've put the exact question that your daughter asked, but you haven't put the exact words that you replied with, I'm guessing that what you said was not as soft and soothing as you intended for it to be. That's my guess, just from the fact that you've conveniently left out the part about what you actually fucking said to her. Because I think, like, just being like, yeah, you're pretty fucking average looking, like, it's not a big deal, most people are. Like, yeah, to a 14-year-old who you know has issues and insecurities about her physical appearance, such that you think therapy would be a good idea, you have to be gentle. Like, I can't really say too much about what she should have done, what OP should have done differently, because as I say, she's conveniently missed out giving the exact details about what she actually said with the words, because she's given us the gist of it, but it matters, like, specifically what you're saying, right? So I can totally understand why the 14-year-old daughter would be upset. She is a child at the end of the day. Whether or not you think she should be that concerned about her looks, that's another thing. The fact is that for whatever reason she's not been to therapy yet. So, yeah. Are you the asshole? I'm going to caution a yes. I'm going to caution a yes. I mean, at the same time though, right? It's like, see when people are like, oh, be honest with me, and then they don't actually want an honest answer. Like, they're in a mood with you for being honest. I think that's kind of bullshit. Like, if you didn't want to know, don't ask me. Like, do you just want me to kiss your ass or what? Do you know what I mean? But that having been said, just because you ask someone for the truth doesn't mean that you have to like the truth. You know, like, you don't have to be happy with what they tell you, but I do think that you don't really you're not really in a position to then be in a mood with them because of what they told you, unless of course they said it in a shitty way, because you can be honest and tactful and nice. Okay? So, I'm blasting through these today. What's the next one? Am I the asshole for telling my oldest daughter, who's a 21-year-old female, that she needs to stop taking her frustration at my lack of luster performance as a father out on her sister, who is only 4 years old? So OP is a 37-year-old male and says, I have 2 daughters and a son. I had my oldest daughter, who's a 21-year-old female, when I was around 17, her brother at 20, and then my youngest 4 years ago with my wife. I was not a great father up until I got custody of my son when he was 3. I was not in my daughter's life, which one, consistently until she was around 10, so we're talking about the older one, when I moved to be closer to her. When she was 12, her mother passed and she moved in with me and my son. When my daughter was about 15, I married my current wife and we had a baby a year later. I wanted this to be different, and it is. I'm giving my second daughter the father my first didn't have. As a result, there has been some tension from my oldest. She frequently gets upset seeing me be a parent to my youngest, as she didn't get that. She also frequently is mean to my youngest. My youngest loves her big sister with all her heart, and my oldest is incredibly cold to her and always has been. That seems incredibly immature and unfair. Before my oldest went off to college, I tried to foster a good relationship between the two. I made sure to not make my oldest a default babysitter, but encouraged her to spend time with her. This tension boiled over 2 nights ago when she was visiting and we got into an argument. I was playing with my youngest and my oldest went on about how lucky she is that she gets to have this time with me since she never did. I don't like to have these discussions in front of my youngest. She may be 4, but she's old enough to know when there's tension, even if she doesn't fully understand why. I agree, kids pick up on things. She kept pushing and escalating the pressure until she snapped at her own damn self, apparently. She went off about how unfair it is that I'm there for her while I wasn't for her. She said my youngest will never have to struggle like she and her mum did, and that it's not right that she gets the dad. What, so you want to deprive a poor fucking kid just because you didn't have the things? Like, grow up, honestly. Get a fucking grip of yourself. This person is 21 years old, right? Yeah, 21-year-old female. You need to fucking grow up, get over yourself, and realise that the world does not revolve around you. Just because your dad wasn't there for you when you were younger doesn't mean that no one else is allowed to have a fucking presence from their father, okay? Anyway, I told her she was right to be upset with me. I was not there for her like she needed, and I will forever. There is no justification. What? I was not there for her like she needed, and I will forever. Anyway, there is no justification for what I did other than the fact that I was young and immature. I told her that there is not an amount of words or times that I can tell her that I'm sorry enough to undo the damage I've done, and that I will never forgive myself for not giving her what she needed while she was a kid. However, I told her that she needs to stop blaming her sister for this. None of this was her fault, and she doesn't know anything right now, and this is not something she should have to think about until she's older. Things escalated into a crying, yelling fit where she said that I was invalidating her feelings, blah blah. I tried to comfort her, but she was not having any of it and stormed to bed telling me she'd be gone in the morning. I do feel awful, of course. However, I don't think I was wrong to say what I said. There's a time and place for that, and it wasn't in our living room while I'm playing with her sister. I also feel that I was right to say she should not blame her little sister for my shitty actions. Am I the asshole? Sounds like not, to be honest. Like I've said, it's not the younger sister's fault at all. Like, what are you going to do? Be like, no, Dad, like, don't be here for me. Like, I'm fine. I want to struggle. I want to be without a dad because my sister was, so therefore I don't deserve it. Like, get a fucking grip of yourself. I agree, like, it's not the time or place to have that conversation. Yeah, be upset at the dad, but don't take it out on your little sister, especially when it's like fucking, when you're that age, when you're only 4 years old. I'm going to go ahead and guess that she's not antagonising the situation, you know? It's not that she's like, oh, Daddy's spending so much time with me, I'm so, like, whatever. Do you know what I mean? So I just think that's really fucking immature and petty, the way that the 21-year-old daughter is behaving. That being said, I wonder, because OP here, the dad, has talked about how he wants to do things differently with the younger daughter, the younger sister, right, the 4-year-old. And he says, I wanted to do things differently with her, and it's going differently. She's in her life and things are going well. However, that doesn't mean that your older 21-year-old daughter just stopped existing, or that she's no longer your daughter. It doesn't mean that, like, oh, well, she's already fucked, let me not do anything about that relationship. So maybe what the daughter, the 21-year-old, is upset about is not that the 4-year-old is getting attention and getting time with the dad, but that even after all this, she still isn't getting attention from the dad. She still isn't getting to spend time with the dad, except for when the sister's there or whatever, you know? Maybe that's the real issue here, and she's just like, she's still wrong to be taken out on the little sister, that's still not right, but maybe she's not actually mad that you're spending time with the younger one. She's just mad that she's now seeing what you are capable of and pissed off that you can obviously do it. Why are you not doing it with her? You know what I mean? So no, you're not the asshole, but I think you may want to be proactive and have, you know, a proper sit-down conversation. Have a heart-to-heart with your 21-year-old. Be honest with yourself and think about, have I actually just fucking abandoned my relationship with her and, like, started again with my new child? Do you know what I mean? Because I think when there is such an age gap between the kids as well, you know, I think it would be natural for the older one to feel like phased out in a way, you know, like that was my old life and I don't want anything more to do with that. Now I've got my new family, my real family, you know, which there's nothing here to indicate that that is the case. But again, OP hasn't said that it's not the case, as in he's making an effort with her as well. Just seems to be that he's making the effort around the 4-year-old and wants the two of them to have a relationship. But what about your relationship? All right, so not the asshole, but just take a look at this situation, okay? Assess, dig a little deeper. Next, am I the asshole for causing a scene after I, 23-year-old male, lost a costume contest to a 3-year-old dog? Yeah, probably. Is a costume contest really that important to you? Okay, so I'm genuinely losing my mind here. So I love Halloween. I love making costumes and put a lot of effort into it. My friend hosted a big Halloween party at her place and said there would be a costume contest for who had the best Halloween costume under $50. Third and second place would win $25 and first would win $50. So not a huge money prize, but enough to offset the price of the costume. To me, it was more about the fun of the game. So then why are you so pissed off? I wanted to win, so I pulled out all the stops and went as Zorro from One Piece and only had to buy $40 worth of material. When I got to the party, I saw other costumes and there were some fierce competitors, but honestly, I think I had the best costume. I thought maybe it was too obscure to people who don't know anything about anime and that might not go well, but it was a good costume. When the winners were announced, I got second. This bummed me out kinda, but hey, I still did well, and again, if I'd went with something more ubiquitous, maybe people would have gotten it. However, the issue arose when they announced first place. First place was a dog dressed like a pirate in one of those shitty Party City pirate costumes. Go back to Party City where you belong. So if I had lost to another person, I wouldn't have cared. But I had a few drinks in me and my inhibitions were lowered, and it was a fucking dog. So I out loud asked the host, really, the dog won? Wrong kind of won, but I know what you mean. And she said yes and was gushing about how cute he looked. I said that it was a dog and it didn't even have a say in what was going on. I told her that this didn't seem exactly fair. Calm the fuck down. You said it's all for good fun. Why are you ruining it for everyone? She told me to lighten up and that it's supposed to be fun. I told her that it's ridiculous she's about to give the $50 prize to the owner for spending $20 on a cheap Walmart dog costume when me and whoever was in third place actually made our costumes. It's not a fucking big deal. This ain't fucking Project Runway, okay? She got mad that I called her ridiculous and things kind of escalated into a full-blown argument that required my friend breaking us up. Come on. I was then kicked out of the party for embarrassing the host like that. So I don't think I'm the asshole because obviously that's not fair. If it was a dog costume contest but having a bunch of people compete and lose to someone's inbred bulldog is so fucking unfair. I think I was justified in saying what I said. People there said that I should have just taken the $25 and called it a day. Am I the asshole? Yeah, you're a fucking asshole. You need to get a grip of yourself in your life. It would be one thing if you were like, oh, that's a bit fucking shit, and you were a bit pissed off to yourself, just within yourself, but then you didn't say anything to anyone, you just tried to have fun at the rest of the party, but secretly you were like, my costume was better than the dog's costume. That's one thing. But then to actually, to be pulling up the host for it, right? To be like, look, what the fuck is going on here? It's a fucking dog, that's ridiculous, they didn't spend any money in the costume, they don't know what's going on, whatever. It's not a costume reimbursement contest, okay? For one thing, to be pulling up the host, that's another level. And then getting in a fight to the point where your friends are having to break you up, that is way over. That's bitch, what are you doing with yourself? What is you need better problems. You must be privileged the fuck out if this is the biggest thing that you have to get pissed off about, and if this is the thing that you're willing to get into a fight about, bitch, you need to go and experience life. Do you know what I mean? If this is the biggest problem you've got going on, I think you're in a fucking good position and you should just sit the fuck down and get over it. Oh my god, it's a fucking dog. What are you gonna do, square up to it? Oh my god, that's ridiculous. Next. Am I the asshole for ruining my wife's friendship? So my wife is a 34-year-old female and her friend have been friends since high school. They are pretty close and she was a bridesmaid for her wedding. Recently, another friend invited them to go to Italy to their family's vineyard as their family was going to Spain for the month. So accommodations are free, but the flight, food, etc. were extra. They left for 2 weeks. Right, okay, so OP has a wife. Wife has a really good friend from school. There's another friend that invited wife's friend to go to Italy because they happen to be in Spain. So the two friends are in Spain in the vineyard. Is this correct? This is what I'm getting so far. As the OP, I was not aware of this trip until a month before it was supposed to happen. They booked it 2 months out. Recently, I lost my job and I had to get another one. It pays around half what my job originally did, so went from 120 to 66k. My wife only has cashier experience and barely makes more money than it would be worth it for her to work, as we have 2 kids, 4 and 1, so I'm guessing they have to get childcare. And it sounds as if as well then that all 3 of them are going to Spain, so the wife is also on this trip. My wife isn't the best with money. She does spend without thinking, and she agreed to this trip without telling me. She had to beg her mum to look after the kids after she said yes to the trip, and her friends booked the tickets. Her mum is from another city and came to live with me for 2 weeks. Us? Or, okay, like, so while she was away. She lives in another city and came to live with me for 2 weeks as I had to work and couldn't take care of them when I'm working. I was extremely mad at her, but allowed her to go. Allowed, I don't like that word. Like, I see what you're saying, like, you didn't demand that they cancel and you get your money back. I see what you're saying, but allowed is a bit of a touchy word. Anyway, I allowed her to go as I know she's been depressed since the baby and it was too late anyway. She asked her friend to cover her for the flight and she would pay her back. I knew it was hard for her to pay her friend back, but it was a non-refundable anyway. So sounds like wife has got herself into a financial situation. Doesn't sound yet as if she's expecting OP to foot the bill, but I'm guessing that it's kind of going in that direction. She came back from the trip very happy until her friend asked for the flight money, I'm guessing. She had spent $1,400 on the trip, not including the flight, and her friend wanted the $1,200 that was the cost of the flight that she had to put onto her credit card. So in total, sounds like it was $2,600, right? She'd spent $1,400 on the trip, not including the flight. The friend wanted back the $1,200 that it did cost for the flight, and she put on her credit card. We had $300 left in our account and already have credit card debt. We're thinking of downsizing our house to an apartment, but it's hard because as soon as the landlords hear that we have kids, they don't want to talk anymore. It really sucks, but I told her we can't pay our friend back until I get a better job. It's been 3 months since the trip and her friend is getting angry because she promised to pay it back and we no longer have money. It's not like her friend needs the money back. She makes 6 figures and has a house already. She's not struggling. I think that's besides the point in most situations, but I see where you're going. I told my wife we don't have enough to pay her back and she will have to explain to her friend. They clearly did not have a good conversation as her friend blocked her and told their other friends about her refusing to pay her back. She cried and is mad at me for losing my job. I was laid off, I had no choice, and ruining her friendship by not pulling money out of my ass to pay her friend. I got mad at her and told her to get a job at night then because I'm trying my best. So question is, am I the asshole for ruining my wife's friendship? You're not the one that ruined the friendship. Your wife ruined her own fucking friendship, okay? Like, that's just, no, that's not an acceptable situation. I mean, I'm guessing, like, I wasn't there for the conversation. Don't think OP was there for the conversation, right? But I'm guessing that the conversation between the wife and the friend wasn't just a, look, I probably shouldn't have asked you to foot the bill for the flights because I can't pay you back right now. Job situation and stuff. I'm hoping that we can pay you back in about this amount of time. Is that okay with you? I'm guessing that's not how the conversation fucking went. I'm guessing that it was like, look, oops, we don't have enough money to pay you, so can you just let it go? And then probably the friend was like, I just spent thousands of dollars on you. No, I can't just let it go. What the fuck? You shouldn't have asked me for the money if you couldn't pay me back or if you weren't going to bother pay me back. I can only guess that's the situation that's going on. But even if it's not, even if the friend is being totally unreasonable, if the wife did everything right, which I think from what's been described here, what allegedly happened, I think she was fucking, spending money she didn't have, clearly. But even if, she went into the conversation and said all the right things, if it was the friend that was being the asshole, it's still not OP that ruined the friendship. What's OP supposed to do? Like they said, like pull money out of their fucking ass, go and get a bank loan or something? Like, this is the wife's responsibility to deal with. She's the one that made the fucking decisions. She's the one that deals with the fucking consequences, okay? So, no, not the asshole here. Next. Am I the asshole for yelling at my wife for taking my son's phone after he got a B on his report card? Maybe yes for the yelling, but B is not a bad grade. So I'm a 35-year-old male and yelled at my wife, who's a who's a 32-year-old female, after she took my son's phone after he got a B on his report card. My son and my wife gets home before I do get home. Today was the last day of his grading cycle and he got all A's except for one B. He takes school seriously and I wouldn't even punish him for a C or even an F if it was a one-time thing. It's Friday, so he is usually on his Xbox with his friends. When I asked my wife where he was, she told me she grounded him for getting a B on his report card. I thought she was joking at first because I couldn't fathom being that strict on him. When I asked her where he really was, she gave me a confused look. When I realised she was serious, I told her to give him his phone back. I told her she was not to punish him for any reason, even if it was justified. She's not to punish him for any reason, even if it was justified? So she's not allowed to discipline? Wait, what? Is it not her kid as well? I mean, at the very least, stepmother, right? After she took my son's phone. My son and my wife, not our son. That seems like an odd parenting arrangement, like live with my child but don't discipline them ever, no matter what. Anyway, I think that's maybe besides the point. She told me that was stupid and she should have equal say. This might make me an asshole, but I laughed at her response and told her that was the dumbest thing I had heard. I told her just because she's his new stepmother, there you go, doesn't mean she gets equal say in punishment, especially if she's going to wrongfully punish him. But then does she get equal responsibility in the parenting? You know? Do you just want her to do all the fucking work, put the work in, but then be totally undermined by you just because you're the biological parent? Anyway, she told me a B is nothing to be proud of. Fuck you. I told her that's subjective and I doubt he's proud of it. She called me an asshole for not letting her be a mum. I think I should mention that me and his mum are still friends and talk to each other, so her wanting to be his mum isn't realistic. Am I the asshole in all of this? Oh, fuck. Right, so a B isn't a bad grade, and even if the son got an F, grades are not to do with your behaviour. It's not to do with your intention, right? I mean, it's one thing like if you know that the kids are capable because they've shown that in the past or whatever, and then they're clearly just not trying for whatever reason. I can understand that. But just because someone gets a bad grade doesn't mean that they deserve to be punished. Maybe that person just isn't good at that particular subject. Maybe that person has a learning difficulty. Maybe that person just fucking, went too much in their head on the actual exam day and managed to mess up for some reason. Do you know what I mean? I don't think any grade is a punishable offence. Okay? However, as I say, this dynamic is really weird. So the son, at least some of the time, lives with the wife, right? Because if he's got his own room there and if he's being grounded in that place, at least some of the time, he lives with his stepmother. To say you're never going to be his mum, I don't think she's trying to be his mum, but do you know what I mean? Like, again, it's a bit fucking weird to be like, there's a child living in my house, it's the child of my partner, but I'm not allowed to have any say in the way that they're brought up. That is completely unrealistic. Now, if it was in an argument between the mother and the stepmother, yeah, I think, the biological mother might have a bit more punch there, for lack of a better phrase, depending on the situation, of course. Like if it's to do with the way the child conducts themselves in the stepmother's home, that's another thing. But I think it's completely ridiculous to expect these two people to live together but not to develop their own relationship. Who is she supposed to be in this situation? The big sister, the friend, the fucking lodger? Do you know what I mean? So yes, I don't think that the son should be punished. No, I don't think you should have fucking yelled at your wife. And no, I don't think your expectations are realistic. I mean, even if you disagree, like yelling at someone and then laughing in their face, what do you expect to happen? Did you think that she would just be like, oh yeah, actually you're right, like, oh thanks so much honey, like, do you know what I mean? Like don't be an asshole. Yeah, I think you are an asshole. I think you are an asshole. All right, that was the last one that I had picked out for us. What did you think of that? Do you agree with me? Let me know in the comments. How is it in this darker light? I almost feel like the colours are a bit better, a bit warmer without as much light coming in from the window. But anyway, not really that important, is it? But yeah, thanks a lot for watching. I do have other videos if you want to go check them out as well. And yeah, I will see you then in the next one. Bye bye, bye bye, bye bye, bye.